financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is Chapter 13 protects your home and can zero out credit card debt. Good morning, Brian Small.
Good morning, Ken. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Little different way we're filming this via social distancing again due to the crazy times that we're living in, but it's a pleasure to be here.
It's really more a logistic thing for us this time. Jeff Linden, how are you?
Good morning, Ken. Great to be here. Excellent morning.
All right, so today's focus is Chapter 13, protecting your home. And I want to kind of zero in on a couple as we get into the topic, property tax foreclosures, Brian, because I know unfortunately, this is the time of year. March is the big month where people lose their homes as a result of property tax foreclosure.
Yeah,
before we get into that, go ahead.
I was going to say what's happening, just so everybody understands, this year we're going back to having property tax foreclosures, whereas during the last year in 2020, it didn't happen due to the COVID crisis. Well, now the taxing authorities are back to quote unquote normal, and they're going to be foreclosing properties left and right.
So critical information on that, because we'll get into it further, but I'll just throw it out there right at the bat. You've got to file that Chapter 13 case to stop the process before the judgment of foreclosure enters. Is that correct, Brian?
100% correct.
Okay, and then we'll get into the timeline later. But before we do that, kind of give us an overview of what Chapter 13 is, how does it work, what the elements are, and then we'll get into when to use it and for stopping foreclosure.
So Chapter 13 is a bankruptcy, just as Chapter 7 is a bankruptcy. It's a form of reorganization. It allows you to restructure your debt and pay the most important debts first, and the least important debts get as little as nothing. But what the key is that what it allows you to do is take time to repay your debt. So, by example, right now, if you're facing a foreclosure because you're behind on your mortgage, the mortgage company says, we'll stop the foreclosure, just write us a check for everything that you owe us that you're behind on, and do that before the sale date. And you say, okay, I don't have that kind of money. Won't you work with me? And the answer is at this point, no, they won't work with you. So you need a hammer to beat them back with. And that's Chapter 13. It allows you to take what you've fallen behind and repay it over as much as 5 years instead of 5 minutes that they want.
Let me ask you a question. So that's Chapter 13. Does that work specifically for this circumstance? Does Chapter 7, we hear about Chapter 7, Chapter 13. Can we just do a Chapter 7 to take care of this?
So Chapter 7 will stop a foreclosure, and they will have to get permission from the bankruptcy court to proceed with that foreclosure. However, it doesn't erase the arrearage that's owed on the home. And if you want to keep your home, you're going to need to find a way to restructure that debt. Chapter 7 will eliminate what you owe personally, but the lien and the mortgage stay on the property, and it still lets the lender foreclose.
So it doesn't work. So really, Chapter 7 isn't your remedy or your solution to that problem.
No, and sometimes you might combine a Chapter 7 and then a Chapter 13, because you eliminate everything else and then you use Chapter 13 to deal with past due property taxes or past due mortgage payments. But the tools are there. But the bottom line is Chapter 13 is the tool you need to catch yourself up and give yourself time.
So when you talk about, I've heard you say this before, you talk about doing a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13, and you call that a Chapter 24, right?
Chapter 20, yes.
No, 7 and 13 is 20 plus 4 for good luck.
Oh, all right. Didn't realize that we were going for good luck. We don't need good luck when we apply the stuff properly.
This was a trick question.
You must have a lot of candles on your birthday cake. If 4 is for good luck.
All right, let's talk before we get to
Last cake melted.
before we talk about tax foreclosure. Let's talk about mortgage foreclosure, just in general provisions. One is, I know that they can start under the current law, a lender cannot start a foreclosure on your home until you're 120 days behind in payments. Correct?
That is correct for 99.99% of all lenders that are required that follow the current. I forget the name of it all of a sudden.
I think it's in Reg X.
Reg X, thank you. That have to follow Reg X. Having a little brain slowdown this morning.
That 120 days starts, though, the very first day you're late on a payment. So if your payment is due on January 1, on January 2, you are now the first, you're one of 120 days behind. So it doesn't take long to get there.
No, that's correct. Even though most people think they have another 15 days to pay, what you really have is a grace period where you're not being charged a late charge. You are, however, late.
Yeah, from the standpoint of counting the 120 days. You're not late from the standpoint of if you make your mortgage payment on the 2nd, it doesn't have any impact on your credit score, quote unquote.
Interestingly, though, in the world of Chapter 13 bankruptcy, when you file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy to assist a client, if the mortgage was due on the 1st and it hasn't cleared the bank and it's the 3rd, in our world, it's late and it has to be paid and incorporated into the Chapter 13 plan. So we do a lot of strategic planning to make sure that mortgages, if it's not going to be part of the 13, we are current and the checks cleared the bank before we file.
Otherwise, what would happen when the check clears?
Well, once the check, it's fine that the check clears because now the client is current and isn't late by definition of it's not the 1st when it was due. And therefore, it can be paid outside of the Chapter 13 plan directly by the client versus having to be paid through the plan.
Let's take a break. We come back, we're going to talk about the mortgage foreclosure, and then we'll get into property tax foreclosure.
Sounds great.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
So we're back. All right, let's focus on mortgage foreclosure and just get the parameters out there. So 120 days behind, they can foreclose. The foreclosure process happens. The lender's going to post on your door and also mail to you a notice of foreclosure. They publish in the legal news, and they typically, the statute says 4 weeks, but they typically advertise it 5 weeks from the date of publication. It says on such and such a date, your house will be sold by foreclosure. It's called foreclosure by advertisement, and that's your ticker at that point. You need to file the Chapter 13 bankruptcy before that sale date. 1 minute after that sale date is too late. The background noise that you're hearing is Jeff's dogs, not my dog who's sitting right here next to me, just for the record there, to clean that up.
They hate foreclosure with a passion.
Yes. They're very proactive dogs, and they're rebels. They're protesting right now. So key point on mortgage foreclosure, you've got to file it before the sale. If you file it, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, whatever you're behind, if you're behind 7 payments at $1,400 a month for $9,800, you can spread that $9,800 over the next 60 months to catch up on your mortgage.
That's 100% correct.
So that would be $163 a month.
Yeah, the opportunity to catch yourself up. I mean, remember, mortgage company wants all their money at one time. The Chapter 13 bankruptcy process allows you to take what you can afford and force the lender to accept that over a longer period of time. So we're going to look at the budget in an example, but the bottom line is that 163 is a whole lot easier to come up with than the 7 payments that you were behind.
Your payment goes from $1,400 a month to $1,563 a month during the 5-year period, and then we'll get there, and you're not going to be paying your credit cards either when we get to it. All right, so property tax foreclosure. Let's switch to that. Since 1999 in Michigan, they've changed the process. It used to be you could fall actually 5 years behind on your property taxes before you got foreclosed. Now it's 2 years, and that window is very tight. Right now, 2019 taxes are in foreclosure. March of last year of 2020, taxes went to the treasurer for collection. March 1, 2021, it's 2 years ago. March 1, 2021, the property was forfeited to the county treasurer. February.
So just to make it a little more explained for the people that are watching, if once you become a year behind on your property taxes, they go from the city who's collecting it to the county who's collecting it. When another year goes by, the county then can foreclose those property taxes, and they have a process that we're going to discuss. But the bottom line is no matter what, if you're behind in your property taxes, you want to file your Chapter 13 before the property tax foreclosure judgment goes into effect.
So February of 2022, that's when the 2019 property taxes are going to the Zoom judicial foreclosure hearings. So you get a notice in the mail, and it's a Zoom. You go in on your computer for the hearing. And what you get is, if you look at the Wayne County Treasurer, they say they send you a yellow bag packet. Yellow bag packets are bad things, but if you get it, it's an awareness thing so that you know you need to take action. After that Zoom hearing, sometime in March of 2022, the circuit court's going to enter that judgment. you need to file the Chapter 13, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, before that happens.
100% correct. And if you notice, one of the problems is that you just said it. It's a Zoom hearing. I don't mean to knock it, but the fact is that there's a whole bunch of people in their 80s and 90s that are behind in their property taxes that don't know what Zoom is, don't know how to Zoom, and are possibly not afforded their legal rights because of the fact that it's over a computer, over a screen instead of in person.
That's for sure. That's a big problem. I mean, my dad passed away a couple years ago, but I went through the process with him from about 85 to 91 of trying to get him to be able to use an iPhone. At one point, I was trying to get him to be able to use the computer and to sign on back in the AOL days because he could do chats with tennis players because he was a tennis player. It was a complete disaster trying to teach him at that point in time because he was suffering from dementia as he went from his mid 80s to his early 90s. But here's the important point. On property taxes, if you're behind, Chapter 13 gives you 5 years to pay, as opposed to this city or the county giving you 1 or a 2 year payment plan.
Well, and it's not just that. The county also usually requires a significant down payment that most people don't have. And you've got to be paying your ongoing property taxes at the same time you're paying a year's back over generally a year. So you've got a year to catch up one while you're paying the other versus 5 years to catch up one.
While you're paying the other. It's a big difference, especially if you're retired on a fixed income. There's only so many cookies in the cookie jar. And then add into that fold, along with that, if you've got credit card debt and you're paying $200, $300, $400 a month in credit card payments, and maybe you still have a mortgage payment that's behind, all of those things can get wrapped into that Chapter 13. The outcome of it is you basically get rid of the credit card debt for zero. You then get 5 years to catch up on the mortgage and the property taxes.
100% correct.
The key is you need to get in and analyze what your options are so that you can take action. Next segment, we're going to do a case study. But let me leave you before the break with 2 points. Judicial on a mortgage foreclosure, you've got to file that Chapter 13 before the sale date. On a property tax foreclosure, you need to file that Chapter 13 before the judgment enters. Let's take a break and we'll come back and do a case study.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m., Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation via teleconference, in office. We're COVID smart, but we can do it in the office, or we can do it through Zoom or on the telephone, whatever makes you most comfortable. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. We cover debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Again, just sign up at lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Also, go online for our free reports, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Ken Gross and Jeff Linden, Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, and Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. All right, let's do a case study. Our clients are Randy and Sarah. They're in their mid-60s. Income, $60,000 a year. Here's their assets. They have a home, fair market value $180,000. The mortgage is $120,000, so they've got $60,000 of equity. They lease their cars. Household furnishings $20,000. Cash in the bank $2,000. No savings. Credit cards, $60,000 in credit card debt, $15,000 in medical bills. They are 2 years behind in their property taxes. That's $8,800 total. And they're also the 7 months behind in their mortgage that I mentioned earlier in the example. Here's their budget. Their net income after taxes is $4,400 a month. Their mortgage payments normally $1,400. Their current property taxes are $367 a month. Credit cards are costing them $1,500 a month. You got utilities, phone, Randy's lease car, Sarah's lease car, gas, auto, and insurance, food at $800. Their total expenses are $5,567 a month. They're negative. They're in the red, $1,167.
Not an unusual set of circumstances because they've been living off of their credit cards.
All right, so I'm popping up onto the screen the big magnifying glass in yellow that says, Brian, analyze. So, Brian, analyze. What is this, a chapter 13?
Well, it has to be. Here's the thing. It could possibly be a chapter 7 to eliminate the credit card debt and leave them in a situation where they've got a little bit of surplus and they get to move on with their life. The problem is that they're behind in their mortgage, they're behind in their property taxes. So it has to be a Chapter 13 for it to be affordable for them. The good news is that while the property taxing authority wants all of the money over a year, we can spread the arrearage out over 5 years, which works out to be about $147 a month. So
Brian, you had said before that the second year's taxes become subject to foreclosure, but they're 2 years behind.
Right.
So if the first year isn't subject to foreclosure yet, is it part of the Chapter 13?
Whether you're 2 years behind, 5 years behind, 3 years behind, anything that any arrearage that you have because you didn't pay it when it came due and the due date has now passed can be and will be incorporated into the Chapter 13, allowing you 5 years to catch up. So while the county is supposed to foreclose those 2019 taxes, if you go back, you'll find that there are many people out there that there's still the 15, the 16, the 17, the 18 taxes haven't been foreclosed because they're not really very efficient. And
so you just build them all into it?
Yeah, build it all into it, spread it out over 5 years. And in this case, these folks get to pay it back at $147 a month.
All right, let me put it up on the screen. So I'm putting up their monthly budget now for before, during, and after the Chapter 13. Before, we just went over, they're negative $1,167 a month. During the Chapter 13, their mortgage payment goes up from $1,400 to $1,564. That's to catch up on the mortgage arrearage. Their property taxes, their current property taxes stay at $367. Their catch up on their property taxes, just like you said, Brian, are $147. Their budget during the Chapter 13 is a positive $22 in basic numbers, based upon their $4,400 of income. They're going to pay zero on their credit cards. And after their Chapter 13 is complete, they go to a positive $333 a month because they've eliminated the credit card debt. Their mortgage payment goes back to $1,400, and they have no catch up on their property taxes. The point is, this is a savior for these two, for this couple, for Randy and Sarah. I want to get their names right. This saves their home and puts their budget back in place where it needs to be from the standpoint of being able to service their expenses.
And the reality is that the mortgage company and the property taxing authority, even if you were able to work something out, the payments would be exceedingly higher.
Plus, you don't solve the $1,500 credit card payment.
No, you don't.
Which is really the
Chapter 13
why they pay the taxes.
Chapter 13 fixes the whole thing and gives you the fresh start you need.
That's a wrap. Have a great week. Jeff, Brian, always fun. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.